You guys have made the argument around here before that what's the point of giving if people don't see you doing it?
Well, that is 100% true.
That is not dumb. You guys misunderstood my point with that argument. I'm saying these people that work in the service industry, they want to know that you liked their work. They don't want, if they're going to make $20 on the day, they'd rather get $1 from all 20 people than have 19 people stiff them and only get a 20 from someone else. They want to know. Every single person that I dealt with today thought I was good and gave me a tip. That's not false.
All I know is that when I tip somebody, I want everyone to know that I did that.
Yep, same here.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't put it in the jar. I hand it to you. You're either going to take my dollar or a couple of dollars, or you're not getting it.
I hover. If they have a jar, I hover. Just so, like, because they're it's usually at like Starbucks or something. I'm like, turn around.
How do you guys feel about the places, and there are more of them in Miami, that ring a bell, make some sort of scene when you're giving a tip?
Love it. It's the best.
Yep.
I'd prefer fireworks, but I'll take the bell.
I'm going to start bringing my own bell.
Yeah.
Just in case they don't have one.
Well, you'll bring the bell and not money. Like you'll reach into the bucket, take the money, ring the bell.
That's my bell. I'm taking money from you.
Live from ESPN Studios in South Beach. It's the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Big night.
Oh, man.
Chef Curry back.
Oh, Chef Curry
back.
What kind of jump shot was that? And you be careful, Billy, doing those kinds of movements on television, pantomiming it. Most people can't hear us in sports bars. What is that? That is cooking. That is a chef cooking. Didn't Harden start that? I thought Harden started that.
Cook it. I'm in the kitchen whipping up a stir fry.
Ooh. Yeah.
Dan, the long national nightmare is
amigos?
over. We finally get National Warriors games with players we've heard of.
Yeah.
Or a player.
A player we've heard of. Yes.
Cook it.
I wanted to ask you guys a basketball-related question after Daryl Moreys, who just scampered out of the shrubs after all the China stuff. He was hiding. Like, he came out looking like Tom Hanks in the middle of Castaway. Like, his
there was a branch in his head.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like he had been beaten up with Adam Silver saying that his tweet cost us hundreds of millions of dollars. It was he looked exactly like you would expect someone to look who had been being flogged for 6 months.
And Stugotz of the day for me, because, like, the one takeaway is, like, our announcers aren't talking good enough about this league. You gotta put the league in a positive light.
Well,
okay, Daryl.
He was saying, it's great. He was saying that the broadcasters are hate watching. Yeah, it's beautiful. The whole thing is amazing. Now, keep in mind, Daryl Moreys is a person who has come on with us. What was the name of that musical that he wrote? He came on with us. He's a fun interview. He is smart.
Was it Small Ball?
It might have been Small Ball, but I thought it had a longer name, though. It might have started with Small Ball and then had some name that had sex in it, I thought.
It's Small Ball.
Just Small Ball by itself? Okay, but I thought he said something about, was there not sex involved?
Small ball sex.
Okay. So regardless.
Just Small Ball.
What can you just
Sex with Giants.
Okay, there you go. I knew there was sex involved.
There you go. Wow.
Dan was right.
Wow.
Okay.
Good retention.
Oh, no, that was the name of the song. He sang Sex with Giants on our show. Let me see if I can find
Okay,
it.
let's see if we can find Daryl Moreys. This was a happier time in Daryl Moreys' life where he could do things like this. And so he does what he does in terms of taking a side in the Hong Kong protests, and then he disappears. He vanishes with everything that happened after that, the entire storm that happened after that. He vanished, and I saw him saying that broadcasters are now hate-watching the game, and they're hurting the game because they're hate-watching the game. But I am telling you, if Daryl Moreys had spent the last 6 months in some sort of camp where they were interrogating him and torturing him, this is what he would have looked like when he emerged from that camp, because he looked beaten up. But here's a happier time with Daryl Moreys.
Do we want to have sex with giants or know what's between 4 and 6? How to bring the parts into compliance? I just cannot grasp the mechanics.
Does that count as the song today? I mean,
Yeah, that does. It's the old song of the day.
No, we wouldn't have
courtesy
any
of
trouble
Daryl.
getting the licensing rights for that. That will still be on the podcast.
Done. And we didn't alienate the podcast listeners. It's all good. Daryl Morey brings like a unique perspective to this because no, they're not hate watching basketball. They're hate watching the Houston Rockets. That's what's awful to watch.
That's one of the things that he's objecting to, right? Like the thing that must be, it really must be something that is a bit baffling to Daryl Morey, who seems like a really smart and is certainly an inventive person. That you could be the general manager who somehow is able in that league, and it's not easy to do when you're not the Lakers, is getting the superstars. You're getting the guys when people want them. You're the one who can lure to your city another team's stars. There's that. And then Russell Westbrook gets there, and we're all questioning it. And for you on the fly to say this team is not good enough and then go to small ball and then go and make Russell Westbrook your center and turn him into an efficient player when that guy was going to age very poorly in terms of efficiency, that is hugely inventive. To have him maximize market inefficiencies so that James Harden is better at threes and they're better at threes, and he muddied up the game with all of these free throws and the style that nobody wants to watch, but it is indisputably their maximized style. We can't disagree with the fact that they are absolutely, whether they win the championship or not, they're getting the most they can out of those pieces.
They are, but, I mean, he thought by maximizing the style that he would win an NBA title with these guys, and he is yet to do so. I think that's the problem
can you
with Daryl Morey.
dispute? No, I don't want to.
You cannot dispute that. No, what you're saying you cannot dispute.
I can't dispute that he hasn't won a championship yet. I also can't dispute that if they hadn't gone 7 for 44 and had a historically bad shooting night from in Game 7 against the Warriors, they might have won that championship, and we'd be talking about all of this differently. But to be Daryl Morey and to be on television and to make the claim that too many of our broadcasters are hate watching the broadcast, it brings me to my next point, which I believe to be Mike Ryan is right on the cusp of total sports blasphemy. Mike Ryan is ready to say, he's right on the cusp of saying it, that the place where you watch sports enjoyed the most in the history of studio television.
The Batard's slam dunk Twitter cast.
Oh, man, a night to remember.
Oh, yeah. You weren't there.
I know.
Could have used you.
Did you forget you were there? You weren't there?
No, it was a night to remember.
Yeah,
That's
he's
all.
helping. He's just
I was watching.
adding color.
Yeah.
The TNT studio show, the one with Charles Barkley, it is the most popular and fun, and I don't think those guys are hate watching basketball, although I guess it can be argued that Shaq and Chuck have been a little bit
Grumpy.
critical.
They're hate watching.
Yeah,
man.
they're grumpy.
They are.
They're
Yeah,
grumpy.
old men.
So I regret this take because I got a furnace blast. You want to tell the people my take?
I was going to, yes, but I think you're just
proceed hosting the show.
retaliating for
I'm just here on the periphery, Dan. Don't mind me.
me stepping on your conversation yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. I don't want to get you back for it.
Mike Ryan is very close to being able to say, although he's apparently been pushed off the position, that Dwayne Wade and Lefko are, and I'm sorry, who is the...
Candace Parker and Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay, that the rest of that show, and I've only seen some clips that have been on social media, that show is having a great deal of fun and might be more fun than the grumpy old men like Barkley.
Over
Wow.
the last few weeks,
Wow.
I've
It's
enjoyed.
a very good show.
I've enjoyed TNT Tuesdays more than TNT Thursdays.
Why skeptical Billy
Have
Face?
you watched on Tuesdays, Stugotz?
Yeah, I have. Lefko is very good. He's very relaxed.
good.
He is
He's a
very
good host.
funny. It's casual. I have watched it.
Wade-
and Dwayne Wade is
Wade-
surprisingly
Wade
good
is
at this.
You guys are just prisoner of the moment here. Like, it's a good show. Lefko's really good. Wade's okay. This is not. We're not talking about Barkley here. Like Barkley's still the peak here.
Yeah, but
You guys sound ridiculous.
No, Barkley is the peak, but Tuesdays, for whatever reason, are doing a better job of getting more out of Shaq. I guess it's because it's Kenny and Charles is
Well,
established.
Shaq has a more dominant role on Tuesdays than he does on Thursdays. I
Yeah.
mean, that's why they're getting more out of Shaq.
They actually feed him the ball.
Yeah,
on that
Right.
show.
yeah. It's a younger show. It's younger sensibilities,
It's Shaq without Kobe. I mean, that's essentially what it is. Yeah. Sorry about that.
but with Wade.
Do you believe that that's Shaq's real hair? Because I feel like that may have been painted on.
Yeah, it was Beijing. He went on his Instagram. He's like, look at that. That's my real hairline. No Beijing. And then he held it up to the camera and he's like, oh.
What was the bet he lost?
He said that the Bucks would win by 20 against the Miami Heat, and they lost straight up. So that's why he had to come out and do the Beijing hairline. It's been fun. I know that most people's experience with it is probably what they put on social media, which has been funny. But if you actually watch the broadcast, it's a light watch. It's a little bit younger energy, and it's nice supplemental. Look, maybe I'm guilty. We don't have to do who's better. Here's what I want to say, though. TNT Tuesdays, it's really good.
But I want to create the chaos of calling Charles Barkley and saying that you think that the Tuesday show is already better. So let's go ahead and
I'm
call
in a good
Charles.
place with Chuck.
Let's go ahead and call Charles.
He
and
won't
see-
answer for me
see-
anymore.
You
Come
don't
on,
have to
Mike.
say one's better than the other, but you said Tuesday's really good. Is it really gooder than Thursday?
No.
Gooder.
But in order to maximize the interview with Barkley, Mike has to stay entrenched here and has to say that this is way better. Not just better, but way better
We're talking about
than
the
the
greatest
pregame
studio
Thursdays.
show of all time here,
Right.
folks. This has only been a couple of weeks, but it's been a hot couple of weeks.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. Here's your SportsCenter update. Steph Curry will return tonight as the Warriors play against the Raptors after missing more than 4 months while recovering from a broken left hand. Former Jets and Packers defensive lineman Muhammad Wilkerson was charged with DWI, possession of marijuana, and possession of drug paraphernalia after an arrest on Monday. SportsCenter brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. Think ahead, think advance. And anytime 1 in 4 batteries is about to fail, get a free battery test and free installation with any automotive battery purchase only at Advance Auto Parts. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
It is Dan and Stu from the Clevelander in South Beach on ESPN Radio.
Coughers, that Stugotz is fine. If he coughs directly into the microphone without hitting the cough button. Also, if he reads the internet wrong, if he blames someone else. Also, if he tries to pay a fine, has no money.
Oh, man. Hate
That's a
that one.
fine. But then if he finds the money after he says he has no money, then it's double the fine.
Download the Vivid Seats app and enter promo code ESPN25 at checkout to get 10% off your next order. Don't buy just any seat. Get a Vivid seat.
So what would you guys say has been the general feeling in the room amongst yourselves? Let's say that you guys are the average sports fan and you are speaking on behalf of the average sports fan. The appetite for the Tom Brady movement story, the appetite for that, like where is it?
Huge appetite. For me, huge appetite. I cannot get enough of this story. When do you have the greatest quarterback of all time available to go to whatever team he wants to go to? 2 years removed from a Super Bowl.
So you have not gotten tired yet, and you are the king of getting tired of stories early about the fact that there isn't very much in terms of new reported detail that can be trusted about this. Now, what did happen yesterday is the Boston Herald did report that the last call between Belichick and Brady did not go well. And NBC Sports Boston is throwing out there something that if I were the Brady camp, I would want it out there. And I just don't know how true it is, but it's the first story to legitimately get my attention as it comes to Brady, because the Las Vegas thing makes sense if you just want an aging star over there, but that doesn't make sense to Brady.
Right.
They're not right on the cusp. Brady's got to be win now this year. Like, he's got to be going to a team that he thinks is going to win the Super Bowl this year. And when you mention San Francisco, the way that NBC Sports Boston did, it makes me think that's ideal for Brady. Like, that is so, I don't know if San Francisco's interested in it, but it is perfect. It's running game, it's Shanahan, and as a gift to the people in New England that you may feel you've betrayed because you took more money to go elsewhere, you send them Garoppolo back.
Yes, it is. It is nearly perfect. It is
For Brady, it is. I don't know if it's perfect for San Francisco because Garoppolo was a better quarterback than Brady last year.
And it's Brady's hometown area. So, I mean, listen, Brady, that's why I never thought the Raiders made sense, because Tom Brady obviously wants to win. I get all the other stuff, but he wants to win. It's why I think Dallas makes sense. It's why I think Tennessee makes sense. One of those three. But no team makes more sense than the 49ers.
I don't think
None.
it's close. Like, I don't think it's particularly close. Again, think about some of the facts that you have here, reported facts, because there are precious few of them around the Belichick-Brady story. But what we know to be true is that Bill Belichick, with Jimmy Garoppolo on his roster, because of what appeared to be, to all of us, Tom Brady winning a wrestling match over whether Garoppolo should be there over Belichick with the Crafts, with a relationship he had with the owners, that looked like to everyone who was watching, oh my God, Brady just went over Belichick's head. Belichick was forced to do something he didn't want to do, and it felt like the reason that he did it the way that he did it is because he didn't want to do it. And so Belichick did the thing he never does. Didn't shop him around, didn't do any of that, sent him to the place where he thought Garoppolo would have the most success and took a second-round pick, even though he would have gotten a first-rounder or two for him. Like, that was a giant bleep you to the organization on the appearance that they had gone over Belichick's head. If that's the quarterback that Bill Belichick chose for Jimmy Garoppolo, and if indeed the call, according to the Boston Herald, didn't go well between Brady and Belichick, and there is a legitimate wrestling match between Belichick and Brady about who's responsible for whom's success, Brady's got like 1 year left to show Belichick. Why wouldn't you go to the team that runs the hell out of the ball and hides Garoppolo the entire postseason until and almost comes 6 minutes from winning the Super Bowl?
Now, Tom Brady is a free agent, so I'm not exactly sure how a trade would work. I'm not sure how sign and trades work. We don't see them in the NFL. I guess.
Well, once
Jimmy
Brady got there, you'd be able to trade Garoppolo.
Yeah, at a discount, because you know that the leverage in terms of like being able to keep Jimmy Garoppolo is gone. He's going to want to be gone, and they're going to want to get Garoppolo out of there, I guess, to avoid a really uncomfortable situation and for cap reasons. So I don't really know if it can work that way, but it certainly makes sense, like hypothetically speaking.
Would you do that if you're San Francisco, though? Because that's tricky. You have an aging quarterback who's got 2 years left, wants to play until he's 45, and you have a young quarterback who just took you to a Super Bowl. I realize he wasn't the reason, but he just took you to a Super Bowl.
It's the only hole in the story.
Plus, he's the guy that Belichick chose to replace Tom Brady. You want to get rid of that guy?
This is a story. I think Shanahan believes that he can do that with a lot of quarterbacks.
Yeah. His track record would seem to suggest it. Got the best out of Robert Griffin III. I understand that was pre-injury, but with hindsight, you realize, oh, man, maybe he was on to something. Did well with Kirk Cousins. Did well with Brian Hoyer. Turned Matty Ice into an MVP. A lot of people that know the game say they're hiding Jimmy Garoppolo, and Jimmy Garoppolo maybe isn't that good. If
you're going to hide somebody, hiding Brady is an interesting way to go, because Brady will have to be hidden some. Even Belichick couldn't hide him the last 10 weeks of the season, because at this age, he is aged differently than anyone in the history of aging at the position. It just makes perfect sense to me only from the Brady side of this. Only from the one to gain here is Brady. The one I'm skeptical about is, why would San Francisco do this? Do they believe that Tom Brady can be better than Jimmy Garoppolo this year, given that Tom Brady wasn't better than Jimmy Garoppolo last year?
Well, that's the question. Garoppolo, I mean, listen, he was coming off an injury, a major injury, and still had 27 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. I mean, and listen, he had moments like that game against the Saints on the road against Drew Brees. He was fantastic.
He was great.
Yes.
It would save them $22 million if they were to cut Jimmy Garoppolo outright. It would only be a $4 million cap hit. But you're losing a Super Bowl quarterback, a guy that won you the NFC, and you're getting nothing in return.
If they trade for Tom Brady, it will be because Kyle Shanahan believes he can do that with anybody.
Pay that man his money.
And not because he does it with Brady, he's doing it with anybody, but only Stugotz because he believes when Brady is done, he'll be able to find another Garoppolo.
Right, and do the same thing with him. They're not trading for Tom Brady. Remember, they're signing Tom Brady. He's a free agent.
I understand,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is in getting Tom Brady, what
Yes.
they'd be doing is they'd have to get rid of Garoppolo. So in essence, they're trading him, even though it's a free agent transaction. It's a trade.
But if you can do it with anybody, why don't you just keep doing it with Jimmy? He's anybody.
Oh, but it might be it. Why wouldn't San Francisco keep doing it with Jimmy Garoppolo because they got to 6 minutes from within 6
Well,
minutes?
yeah, if you think that I'm getting Tom Brady because I can do it with anybody, well, you already have anybody. Just keep him.
That's the reason that I'm saying this doesn't serve San Francisco the way that it serves Brady, but it's delicious if it's Brady because it's where I'd want to be if I were Brady. It's the spot I'd be choosing above all of them.
Do you have Garoppolo going to the Patriots in this whole
Yes,
sequence? Oh, my God. A Patriot-Niners Super Bowl. I mean, for everything.
For everything, for all of history. Are you looking for mud flaps for your truck, for your SUV? Head over to Advance Auto Parts. Pick them up today. Tell them Stugotz.
Yep, you may not be able to run, throw, or catch like a professional athlete, but now that it's spring, you can get your lawn looking like a professional sports field. You can do it, assuming your lawn gear will start, that is. Stop by Advance Auto Parts. They'll test your lawn and garden battery for free. If it needs to be replaced, they have Autocraft lawn and garden batteries starting at just $22.99. Plus, enter the code DAN20 when you buy online to save 20%. Think ahead, think advance at Advance Auto Parts.
More of Dan and Stu coming up on ESPN Radio.
Instead of just doing radio of you trying to schedule things, why don't we do the macro
Okay.
of why you would commit all of them on Super Bowl week without asking anybody?
Listen, you are right. Totally unfair. I just figured the guys would enjoy a nice day. Blue Monster, Joe Stonecrab, Trey Wingo, Mike Golick.
They can't rope you into spending 5 minutes with them unless there's a check attached to it. Like, they can't get you to do anything 5 minutes after the show or before the show. Why are you committing them to a whole day during Super Bowl week with the Golick and Wingo crew that I don't even know they want to hang out with?
Hey, Stonecrab.
Okay, Stugotz is very bad at English, very bad at pronunciation,
Thanks.
very bad at reading, very bad at retention. And so what the guys often do around here is they plant in his stories these words that are landmines. They are meant to explode in his face, and we get the content out of them. We're not even updating you on what's going on in sports. We're just looking for the sports stories that allow us to plant the landmines that will blow up in Stugotz's face so we can all laugh when he pronounces coup d'etat ridiculously. But I'm with you, Mike. I can't believe that just happened. Like, he nailed the dismount.
When I was writing that out, I was saucerized. It was like Damian Lillard just had a center on the defensive switch. I was taking it to the cup or pulling up three. Either way, it was going to result in a bucket, and you just stopped me.
I had a similar feeling when I saw it on the Sports Center because I knew I had it. I Mutombo fingered you. You threw me a grenade without pulling the pin out,
Whoa.
and I took it and threw it right back at you while taking the pin out.
Phrasing.
What happened?
Oh, I just processed what you were trying to say. I totally missed
The wagging of the
Understood.
finger when he blocks a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
that
the verb that
Yeah, get it now. Mutombo?
So here is someone writing in via Twitter. You could reach the show at Batard Show, and he is objecting to my saying that Tom Brady aged differently than anyone in the history of aging and the position. He writes in, George Blanda played quarterback and kicker at age 48 when there were no protective rules for quarterbacks. How many field goals has Tom Brady ever kicked?
Excellent point.
It's a great point. I mean,
Guillermo, put it on the poll.
he boxed you in, man.
I had no idea that Blanda did that.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Levitard Show. Are you here for any conversations with the guy who's mentioning George Blanda? Like any conversations of any kind in any sphere. The guy who is pulling out the trump card of George Blanda back at a time when football players had to work second jobs as plumbers because the salaries weren't quite strong enough, and quarterbacks could also be kickers. Now, all of that said, and I didn't think we'd end up here today, I'm going to go ahead because I don't believe that George Blanda won championships late in his 40s, the way that Tom Brady has begun winning championships in his 40s, the way that he was still playing in his 40s. So let me see here and see if I can hit the audience with a little bit of George Blanda's Wikipedia here, Stugotz, because I think this could be fun to read.
The grand old man.
In 1970, Blanda was released during the exhibition season, but bounced back to establish his 21st professional season. During that season, Blanda, at age 43, had a remarkable 5-game run. Against the Steelers, he threw for 3 touchdowns in relief of an injured Daryl Moreys. 1 week later, his 48-yard field goal with 3 seconds remaining salvaged a 17-17 tie with the Chiefs. On November 8th, he again came off the bench to throw a touchdown pass to tie the Cleveland Browns with 1:34 remaining, then kicked a 53-yard field goal with 3 seconds left for the 23-20 win. You know what, sir? I stand corrected. I stand corrected. He came in relief.
It's amazing.
And he came
Kicked
in
his own extra points.
And how many 53-yard field goals has Tom Brady kicked to get to a championship game? Huh? Vinatieri can't even make those anymore.
Blanda had a season where he threw 42 interceptions.
How many touchdowns did he throw?
27. Gunslinger.
Yeah, the gunslinging Jameis Winston of his time would finish the game throwing 3 picks and then would come to your house and fix your sink afterward.
Aquí lo que importa es el catch.
It's a tough year, man.
Skewing younger. George Blanda talk as we continue to just capture popularity with young people. Granger, if you're a facility manager and you feel overwhelmed, know that Granger is there to bail you out with whatever you need. Tell them, Gotts.
Yep, running your business is a 24/7, 365-day-a-year job. Every problem, every solution is up to you. When a problem arises and you need a solution, Granger's got your back. Whether you need critical items fast, something isn't working like it should, or you just can't find exactly what you're looking for, Granger's ready to help because you don't stop, neither do they. Granger has 24/7 customer support, sourcing specialists, and same-day pickup and delivery options. Don't forget about their on-demand products and technical expertise. Whatever you need, whenever you need it, Granger's got your back. Call, click Granger.com, or stop by a branch. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Coming up, more of the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
If you missed any of our interviews, please check them out on demand in the Dan Le Batard Show podcast, brought to you by Capital One. Why settle for average? With Capital One, you can open a savings account with a rate 5 times the national average. Welcome to Banking Reimagined. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Capital One N.A., member FDIC. All guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
Mike Ryan is exchanging messages with Charles Barkley. Mike Ryan is a little afraid and is walking back his original contention that he was on the edge of believing that Tuesday nights with Dwayne Wade and Shaq and Candace Parker and Adam Lefkoe is right on the cusp of being better than TNT on Thursday night. So in the next 15 minutes, we will either have Charles Barkley in 15 minutes, or we might play for you some of this John Tesh conversation from South Beach Sessions so you could see the chaos that ensued and how much we enjoyed talking to somebody and some others that would have made for a really great show in 1993.
I want Mike to stay entrenched on this TNT pregame take and even over the top. Please, like, it is better, just factual. It is better than Thursday night's pregame show, because I'm telling you right now, I'm going to steal the take, and I am going to go after Barkley. Mike, we need you to go after Barkley here. We need some beef
all
here.
All yours. Have at it.
Oh,
because
boy.
what happened in my mentions after I waded into the waters by signaling that I was just dangerously close to calling this a legit race was a bunch of people who clearly haven't watched on Tuesday jumping down my throat.
Well, where are we with Barkley? Are you optimistic that he's going to be on with us in 15 minutes?
Yeah, he was asking me for time, so I gave him a couple windows. So there's a chance. I would say that John Tesh more than likely at 11, but I think Barkley's going to join us at some point.
All right. Can you guys tell me, because I have been remiss in not talking to you about this before 48 minutes into the show. I did something last night that I probably haven't done since I was a young boy.
Ordered a salad?
Watch TV with sound?
Exercise?
Spend time with someone your own age?
I don't want to be mean to you.
Yeah, I don't want to do that either.
Went to a batting cage. I don't know.
Yes. What all of you said.
Yeah.
I did all of those things. I ate a salad in a batting cage.
That's a hell of a night.
I did. I took some swings. I ate a salad. I hung out with somebody my age. So the thing that I did last night that I have not done since I was a kid is I toggled back and forth between network television shows. Now, Billy, this Masked Singer show that you like is an abomination. Like,
What?
It is.
How dare you, sir?
It is so bad. It is an insult to America that show is as successful as it is. It is. Wow, we're dumb.
What do you mean?
It's dumb.
How so?
It's because
Just because they have someone dressed as a taco singing karaoke songs, that's dumb.
no,
Okay.
actually, I like the idea. I've actually entertained the idea. Not enough until I watched it some last night. But the only reason I was watching it some last night is because of that fraud Walenda.
Him.
Oh, God. Is he okay?
Yeah, of course he's okay. He did it with a harness.
Oh, man.
Now, I might be lashing out bitterly because I did a very poor interview with him, which was actually very good. It was very poor on my end because I didn't ask him if he'd be using a harness, and I just assumed that we were running the risk of watching a guy falling into a volcano on live television. That's what I thought we were headed toward, the risk of it. I'm not rooting for the happening, the risk. Do you guys know that Katie Nolan was a sideline reporter on one of the previous Walenda attempts, and they actually have different codes for what it is that they have to do if Walenda actually falls off of the wire. One of them is go to bars if he falls down, and I don't mean go to bars on your television. I mean just go straight to drinking. Bars on your television, if he falls into the volcano, it's just bars. But one of the options is throw it back to Michael Strahan, which
It's always an option. I mean,
it seems
he's always there. I mean,
it seems like that's putting him in a bad
That's
spot.
actually our option over here too.
Can we give like a lot of credit to Sage Steele and Chris Harrison, because
That's a lot of talking.
a lot of talk. They're doing play-by-play for a guy walking across a wire for 31 minutes. And like, I don't know how much more you can say than, yep, he's still on the wire holding that stick and he's attached to another wire just in case something happens. Oh, there he is. Still
Chris,
doing it.
Did you feel betrayed by the harness? Like, if you're gonna do it, do it.
I mean, if he can say he walked across a volcano on a wire, then I can say that I have physically flown to Las Vegas before because I've been in a plane. Okay, I have flown. Like, I have the power to fly. If you want to see me fly to Las Vegas, you can watch a 3-hour show, and I can hop on a plane and I'll fly there. It's the same thing because he's not really. I mean, he's going
He
across.
basically ziplined.
He's
across
ziplined. Thank you.
there's
man.
no risk. Is that what you guys are saying? Zero risk?
I wouldn't say that. It seems terribly scary, and there are things that can happen to the
The
harness.
fumes is what I was more concerned about because he had to wear a mask because he was, it's a volcano. So,
I know that I'm not one that likes to pick things apart, but I'll tell you a story of what happened yesterday.
Oh, God, no.
I got in a fight
no.
with my dad, like an argument where I said, I can do this. Like, I mean, if I'm attached to a wire, I can walk across a thing. And if I fall, whatever, I'm just kind of hanging onto the thing, but it's fine. But, like, I could try that. I mean, I'm not going to fall into the volcano. There's another cable holding me up. I wouldn't do it, but I could say it.
And you think if he's going to be harnessed, he doesn't need this big stick that keeps him balanced. If all right,
That
you want
seems
to
hard.
impress me with the harness, do it without the stick.
Well, the harness, the stick is for balance, obviously.
That's what I'm saying. If
that's
you
the
want to
problem.
impress me, if you're going to have a harness and you want to
Yeah.
impress me, do it without the stick.
Now, did they?
How about his wife, by the way? Arundira, huh? She was doing like a performance on this like
She
aerial
was hanging
ring
over the volcano by her teeth.
by her teeth. She was
By her-
hanging by her teeth
by her
at one point
teeth.
over a volcano.
Why isn't
What?
that the
and
headliner?
her
That's
feet
more
too.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
And then he was like talking to her. He's like, "Good job. Remember when you take off the mask, take it off from the back first." And she just pulled it straight off from the front, like completely ignoring Nick.
Were you more
Blanda.
impressed? You were more impressed by his wife than him, right?
Yeah, she was hanging over a volcano by her teeth, and she had a harness too, but her teeth mainly,
Yes, mainly her teeth.
and her toes at one point.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
What she did
Yeah.
was crazy, and braver than what Blanda did, because Nick Blanda is like that. That was bogus. That was they tricked us. They tricked. How many viewers did they get for that? Because they tricked us.
And he likes to make it seem like, oh, I'm only doing this harness because the TV networks make me. It's like, you like the harness. All right, Nick, you like the fact that you're definitely not going to die. Because, who doesn't like
All right.
that?
The harness is good, but wait a minute. Billy told us he was going to do that. That he was going to get up there and say weather demanded at the last minute a harness. When all along, there's no way you're getting insured for any of that stuff unless there's a harness.
I could have done without the videos of his family members falling off of the things and hitting the ground. That seemed a bit much. Yeah, they showed videos of his family falling off a high wire, like a big group of like 40 people.
No, it was like 8 people,
Yeah.
right? There were 8. They were doing some sort of pyramid across a wire, and 5 of them fell, and
They didn't
3
have
of them were
harnesses.
hanging on the wire.
Let me
what
get out
happened to
ahead of this. I've never done that. All right, I've never walked on a high wire. We can do the pyramid. I don't think I do it as like a pyramid with 10 other people at the same time. That just seems like you're risking things going wrong.
Okay, Chris, since you say things without measuring
No.
consequences, we are now going to do that as a
No.
show.
No.
We are going to try to use
pyramid?
a high wire. A pyramid of us, the show, is going to try
No.
and get on a high wire and see if we,
Over a volcano?
if we don't fall.
Here was my main argument with my dad as to why I could do it. If I could do it 2 feet up above the ground, I could do it above a volcano.
You know you love the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
With more than 30 coverage options available, Progressive has you covered. More at progressivecommercial.com. All guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Red Sox starter Chris Sale is not expected to undergo Tommy John surgery. Federal authorities in Florida have charged a 23-year-old sports bettor known as Parlay Pats with transmitting threats of violence directed at professional and collegiate athletes and their friends and families through multiple accounts on social media. Maximum penalty is 5 years in prison. And finally, Enrique Iglesias and Ricky Martin are teaming up for their first ever North American Arena Tour. Very cool. Vivid Seats, the top ticket source for the live events you crave, now is a loyalty program that allows fans to earn credit back. Go to the App Store or Google Play, download the Vivid Seats app, and enter promo code ESPN25 for 10% off your next order. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
So what happens here sometimes is the schedule is a bit in flux as we try to reach out to people. And Charles Barkley will be joining us later this hour, so Stugotz can get a beef started by saying the Tuesday show is already better than the Thursday TNT show. We'll ask him about Spike Lee and some other stuff. Maybe we can ask him Mike's contention, why Shaq is better on the Tuesday show than he is on the Thursday show.
Many are saying this.
With Charles Barkley.
Right.
But he will be in in about a half hour or so. But we get accused all the time here when we replay stuff from the podcast network, from Le Batard and Friends, of laziness. And basically, my explanation for this is that we want you to hear some of the good stuff on these podcasts that you might not hear because it's all meant to be menu items for you. John Tesh, very famous a long time ago. John Tesh was on Entertainment Tonight, went back when we only had like a couple of networks on television, and that was the TMZ of our time. And what happened on this South Beach session, you can hear the whole thing, but this happened on the South Beach session, and these few minutes are worth your time. John Tesh has lived a big life. He has lived. He has also almost died. He lived in a while in a tent for 4 months because he was chasing his dreams. I know Mike and I are both very excited about talking to John Tesh because he created the NBC basketball theme, Round Ball Rock. Do you have that available, Mike? I know I can't play this stuff, and there are all sorts of...
Dan, there's all sorts of rights fees, and even though we have the artist there, all I can do is go ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Okay, that's great. That's the height of entertainment. This man has lived at the height of entertainment, and that's the best we can do as a production vehicle is you singing his Round Ball Rock song. So with all of that as backstory, John Tesh, thank you for being on South Beach Sessions with us.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. I should tell you that you singing the theme is how the theme was written. That's how I sang it into my answering machine. The other thing is that we own the publishing and all the rights. So if somewhere down the line you want to play it, it's fine with me. You have my permission.
All right. Well, hold on a second. No, actually, thank you, John, because this is a terrible thing that we have encountered as a show for a long time where we never have any permission. So thank you.
From us, it's fine.
This is great. We feel so strong. We have finally gotten the rights to some music. Mike Ryan, let's go. It's so good.
Take it away, John.
Go ahead, John.
If you listen to that theme closely, that's the original. Actually, it's been recorded several times. But if you listen to that closely, you can hear mixed a little too loud is bongos. I don't know what it was, but we were in the recording studio. And we said, well, it's got some good action, but it needs something. And so somebody said, what about bongos? And so I went into the studio, and we didn't have a percussionist with us. I actually played bongos. So that's what you hear in there. I think it gives it a lot of energy.
What can you tell us about what you thought it was going to be and the idea that I am, how many years later, asking you about it?
Yeah, 1990, I was in a place called Megève, France. I was covering a bike race for CBS Sports, and I had heard that NBC was looking for a new theme. And having written a lot of sports music, certainly for the Tour de France and a lot of other big events, including, tennis, downhill skiing, and all that stuff, a lot of themes. I mean, even though I knew what worked and what it sounded like, and what the format should be, as in how long things should be, and all that, you had to come up with an idea for a catchy theme. And so, in the middle of the night, I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, as the story goes, and I had this idea in my head, and it was the melody that you just played. But I had no way to write it down. I didn't have any manuscript paper with me, and I probably wouldn't have even helped get the feel for it. But certainly no smartphones back then, and I didn't have a portable tape recorder. So I just called my answering machine, which was back in the States in New York, and I left a message for myself, basically like what you guys were doing. You know, I still have the answering machine message, and it's really exactly, even in tempo-wise, what the theme ended up being on NBC. I mean, a funny story, when I wrote this song and Ebersol said, hey, this is great for us, and then I was on the road doing something else, and I knew it was the debut of the theme, and it was the debut contest. And this is actually in my book, Relentless, a very detailed account of how the song was written, and a detailed account of how, you know, Live at Red Rocks and also the Tour de France music was all created. But I went into a sports bar knowing that at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it was going to be the Los Angeles Lakers versus the San Antonio team. And I was sitting there, and there's like maybe 50 people in this bar with TVs everywhere. And when it comes time, you know, the animation comes out, you know, there's another fanfare that goes, and then the theme comes on, and it's just blasting through the bar, and I'm smiling, you know, and people are watching, and I'm thinking, and somehow I'm just thinking that they must know that this is mine. Of course they didn't. So after a while, nobody's saying anything. I motioned over to the bartender. I said, hey, you hear that music? He goes, no, I hadn't noticed. I said, the music that's playing, you know, as they're going to commercial. He goes, I'm sorry, man, I'm just really busy. Do you want another beer? You know, it occurred to me that I probably needed a larger feeling of humility in there, but I was a stranger in a strange land listening to something that was remarkable and had never happened to me in my life.
His new book, Relentless, Unleashing a Life of Purpose, Grit, and Faith, is available now wherever books are sold. What can you tell me about the time around Entertainment Tonight? It's hard to explain how successful that show was because there were so few options, right?
Yeah, and it's really crazy because the wild thing for me is that, you know, I started at 19 and a half years old in the radio and then in the TV business in Raleigh and Orlando and then Nashville, where I was working at a station with Pat Sajak and Oprah Winfrey, and then on to New York City at CBS. And to my left was John Stossel, to my right was Mary Vieira, behind us was Brian Williams and Bill O'Reilly. And then Terry O'Neill and Van Gordon Sauter hired me out of the CBS newsroom to go do network sports. And so I basically spent the next 6-7 years living in Europe, covering the Tour de France bike race. And so that was a massive education for me. I mean, I'm those people who are sports fans probably already know this, but I can tell you from doing entertainment news and certainly doing a lot of hard news and then doing sporting events that I would stack up a sportscaster, whether it's Al Michaels or Brent Musburger or even you know, Joe Buck or
Bob Costas. I'd say Bob Costas is as good at broadcasting as anyone is.
I'm not a fan. No, sorry.
Whoa.
Costas was not a fan of me, and he wasn't the only one. You know, I got made fun of by a lot of the late night hosts because I was very dramatic, and this is important to know. In '92 and '96, when I was covering the games in both those years, I was still working for Entertainment Tonight. Right, I had left sports, but Dick Ebersol hired me as the announcer for gymnastics with David Michaels producing, because we were a great team. That was the team that was together on the Tour de France. But prior to that, I had done, you know, every national championship and the world championships, and also all the World Cups, you know, gymnastics competitions. So I knew a lot about gymnastics. But all of a sudden, when the host of Entertainment Tonight shows up, right, doing the Olympics, like, what's this guy doing here? And so Bob Costas, I'm sure he's a fine man, but there was a lot of talk about how dramatic I was, overly dramatic I was on the games. And encouragement came from Dick Ebersol, who said, listen, I love your commentary. Every night he'd be calling me in the broadcast center to say, keep it up, don't read the newspapers. He said, our ratings are through the roof, people are loving this. Because I got really involved in it, and I was that dramatic doing the Tour de France too. And I don't think I would have changed it. Bob, that's not his style. He apologized, and I think that's great. But he went on to the Tonight Show, and Jay Leno said, Bob, but you know, a lot of people said this stuff about John Tesh, about how terrible he was at the Olympics. What do you think? And Costas, who had obviously rehearsed this line, said, you know, as a sports announcer, I think John Tesh is a good piano player. It's like if I said something like Mary Hart or something, you know, after we were working together. Whether you like the guy or not, let's think Kobe and Shaq or something, right? You're on the same team, you know, and you got to really watch your mouth when you're on the same team, whether you like the person or not, because I never did anything that hurt Costas. And it damaged my reputation. And he ended up writing me a letter afterwards after he got beat up about it.
watch your mouth, Bob Costas, is not something I expected to hear during a conversation with John Tesh. Honest to God, John, this is what I've said to Bob Costas. Need you on radio. John Tesh wants to squash beef. And then Mike Ryan grabbed the phone and wrote, taping a podcast with him right now, and he wants to put your beef behind. I had no idea you had beef. Are you available now? And he says, I wish I was. Please give John my best. It's all good in my book. He's a nice guy. And I respond, we can relay a message. We want the beef to continue. We want you to escalate it. And so he says, I'm shocked. I think he might be genuinely surprised that you guys had beef because he's saying, I'm shocked.
Oh, if you have beef with a 6'6" angry John Tesh, you know about it.
John, what do you want me to write him back? Because this would be the perfect way to end it and to publicize his new book, Relentless, Unleashing a Life of Purpose, Grit, and Faith. It's available wherever books are sold. I believe that this is going to be news.
I want you to send this message to Bob. Bob Costas, I love you. I still think Brett Musburger is number one, but I love you, and let's squash the beef forever.
And also tell Bob that he can find Relentless wherever books are sold.
Yeah. That's beautiful, man. You made a nice.
I got your back. You gave me. Are you kidding? John Tesh, you gave me the rights to Round Ball Rock. You're a god.
So I love you. I still think Brent Musburger is better than you as a broadcaster, but I think that might escalate the beef. But I want to squash the beef.
And Relentless is available wherever books are sold.
Okay. But I want to squash the beef, and Relentless is available.
Give it the full title, Relentless, Unleashing a Life of Purpose,
Come on, Mike.
Grit, and Faith.
Mike, I'm busy. All right. Come on. I got to do this.
We got the rights to Round Ball Rock.
All right.
You
Relentless.
do John Tesh
all right, hold on a second, John. Hold on. Relentless, Unleashing a Life. Jesus.
Of purpose, grit, and faith.
I've got deep vein thrombosis from sitting down too long. Are you guys done yet? Oh my God.
We can send him a copy. And tell Bob we'll send him a copy.
Grit
All right.
and Faith is available now. Forgive me. Hold on, John.
Yeah, I think he was telling us kindly that he needs to go.
Okay, I don't blame him, but all right. But I need the payoff of this. All right. The new book, Relentless, Unleashing a Life of Purpose, Grit, and Faith. It's available wherever books are sold. I guess I'll let you go, John, and now we'll find out what Bob. We need your numbers so that we can tell you what Bob says. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Time to justify our unreasonable salaries.
Oh, the payoff is on South Beach Sessions. Also an appearance, a surprise appearance from Pat Sajak, shirtless.
Wow.
Casper, getting closer to the weekend. Check out that South Beach session if you want the conclusion of that. That is a real curiosity. Hell of a tease by Mike. Getting closer to the weekend. The feud with Bob Costas does not simmer down. He escalates it. He comes back at John Tesh. Tell the people about Casper Stugotz. We all have him around here.
Yep, we have all heard of Casper, the sleep company with outrageously comfortable products at not so outrageous prices. And with their current end-of-season clearance, you can save up to 20% on the mattress of your dreams. Do it today. Save up to 20% on mattresses now through March 23rd, 2020. Offer expires March 23rd, 2020 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific. Save 10% off the Essential, 13% off the Casper, 20% off the Wave. Great deals. Limit one offer per customer and order. Additional shipping fees apply for Hawaii, Arkansas, and certain areas of Canada. Very specific. Please see Casper.com/terms for additional terms and conditions.
This is the Dan Levitar Show on ESPN Radio.
This is how I imagine the inside of Stugotz's brain. It's a factory where they're coming up with the takes, right? So, here's point A, and then they pass it to the mouth. The mouth says, here's point B, and they pass it to the mouth, then point C. There's no point C! There's no... Hurry! Just recycle it! they took the same sheet and gave it back.
Guys, he said
C. I love listing things. A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3. Doesn't matter, but occasionally you get caught up in the air and forget what the third, fourth, and fifth one.
All the factory workers in his head are Stugotz. They're just mini Stugotz.
Yeah.
So, but
the big boss needs a C.
Just give him A.
If you missed any of our interviews, check them out on demand in the Dan Le Batard podcast, brought to you by Capital One. With Capital One, you can open a new checking or savings account with no fees or minimums. Welcome to Banking Reimagined. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Rover required. Capital One NA, member FDIC. Dan, it's time for Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless.
We will get to Straight Talk with Charles Barkley. He will join us in about 10 minutes, and we will try and make some room here by doing a short segment here so that we can get to Charles Barkley. But I'm curious, Mike, because you just you texted me, Eden Hazard was in the Mavericks locker room. The Mavericks beat New Orleans yesterday. It's the future of the league. What you saw was Luka Doncic and Zion Williamson. A fun game, high-scoring game. Yeah. Did you send that to me for the reasons that I think you sent that to me? Because the reason I found the video funny is because Luka Doncic is walking into a room, and when he walks into that room, I think that a tiny Mike Ryan is in there, like a super small, like unbelievably small human being, like disproportionately small. Now, Eden Hazard is not big. He's like 5'8", 5'9", so he's not big by any means. But he looked tiny when Doncic walked in, like tiny, 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 because these people that you're watching on your televisions are a lot bigger than you think they are. I've told you before, everyone thinks I look like a giant around Stugotz. Steve Kerr is my height, and Steve Kerr was small in that league. When you watch guys running around out there routinely, guys that you think are small are bigger than most people you will ever meet in your life.
Pound for pound, I'd venture a guess Eden Hazard is one of the stronger soccer players there is out there. Incredible balance. He's 5'9", which doesn't look jarring at all if you're standing next to him.
On a soccer field, it doesn't look like he's a little person. It doesn't look like that, right? He looks small.
He plays low. He's got good balance, but you have no idea how big Luka Doncic is until he walks into this room. You think it's a child. I had no idea it was Eden Hazard at first, and then at the very end of the
that's the
video,
thing. That's the thing that's funny, Stugotz, because there was this funny thing that happened the other day in terms of just how circus freakish some of the guys in that league are. Like we've reached a place in evolution. I'm telling you, even if you're courtside, you don't really understand what it's like to watch Bam Adebayo try and guard Antetokounmpo.
Right.
Like when you're watching,
like Porzingis or something like that.
But it's ridiculous. And you're watching Porzingis, and Porzingis is taking these long jumpers, and he's 7'3".
Right.
And he's sitting there spotting up at the top of the 3-point line. But when you see this soccer player, a guy who has arrived, like he's bigger bigger physically than Messi, right? Like
many are.
I mean, he's 5'9". He's my height.
Yeah, he's your height. When you see it looks like someone. I thought it was Photoshop when Doncic walks into the room. That didn't look like a professional athlete. It looked like someone had shrunk with computers this professional athlete so you could see how small he looked compared to Luka Doncic. But then Boban walks into the room.
I just got to it.
Boban walks into the room, and he looks like something that would hang like an earring off of Boban's ear.
Boban's hand is bigger than Hazard's torso.
It was staggering to see Boban, who's been in a John Wick movie and was good in a John Wick movie, just getting beat up. But of course you put him in the library looking huge over John Wick. That video is really funny when you consider that one of those guys is a professional athlete and the other one made him look like a toddler, and then the other one came in and made Doncic look like a toddler.
That is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less, only at Walmart.
Charles Barkley next.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Go ahead, Brian.
I think my goldfish is constipated. He's been kind of sluggish. I haven't seen him do his thing lately. But I've been told that if you warm up a pea and take the skin off of it and give the goldfish the inside, that it will help him be more regular. Is that true?
I got to be honest with you. I'm not an expert on constipated goldfish. But
just end the segment on those words. That's fine. That's it. Let's just go to the video there. this song. I haven't talked to him in too long. Always a pleasure to have him around. Thank you, Charles, for making the time. I don't think you're going to be so happy about making it once Stugotz files his allegation, but we'll get to that
it's messed up.
in a second. Spike Lee, what do you think about what happened with Spike Lee and the Knicks, Charles?
Well, number one, I wake up to that song every day. It let me know that no matter how successful you are, you're going to have haters. So Nas gets me up every day to go to war for life. I love that brother. And I think it's much to do about nothing. I think it's no big deal. I think we're wasting our time and energy when we got other stuff going on. Dan, I'm to the point where now, man, I'm such on a level. I don't get caught up in the BS of sports. It's so funny how stupid the public are. Like, we get to tell them what they get to talk about all day long because the nitwits on TV every morning who set the agenda. And I'm like, that's not a story. Nobody cares about that. Nobody, I don't even waste my time on BS anymore.
Which nitwits?
I'm just trying to make it 4 more years, brother, till I'm 60, and then I'm retired. I'm just trying to make it to 60, brother.
Which nitwits are you speaking of? Is it?
No. See, I want them to think about it, Dan. Because if I give them a name other than Skip Bayless, who I hate, I would give them power. I want them to think about which nitwit I'm talking about. So that gives me the power. Now they have to sit around and because we know Skip Bayless is a nitwit, but the rest of the nitwits, we have to sit around. Is he talking about me? So that gives me the power, Dan.
I always like when Charles Barkley has the power. Now, Daryl Morey, I don't know whether he was referring to you or not the other day, because you can be critical of basketball. You're a serial truth teller. When Daryl Morey says that people like you, and I don't think he used your name, but people like you hate watch basketball. Some of the broadcasters who are doing the games hate watch basketball. And you've been very critical of jumpers and the three-pointers and all that stuff that the game has turned into. What do you say to Daryl Morey?
Well, I like Daryl Morey. I think that he's one of those guys to hear what he wants to hear. When I said that, it's so interesting watching television. I said 2-3 years ago, James Harden is the best offensive player I've ever seen in my life. I think he's not better than Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant at that position. And I said, but he's the best offensive player I've ever seen. Daryl Moreys didn't call me and say, hey, Charles, thanks for the compliment on James. When I said I will never say anything bad about Russell Westbrook, I probably respect him more than any other player in my NBA history. I've never seen a guy that gives maximum effort every single night. And I know the haters on television are going to say, well, he hasn't won a championship. Hey, a lot of guys haven't won a championship. But I'm never going to say anything bad about Russell Westbrook. I respect that man. Now, that being said, Daryl wants to protect his brand. He thinks he can win by shooting threes. I don't think he can. We had that one fluke year where everything worked out perfect for the Warriors, and I was wrong. And now everybody tries to do that. It only works when you got the 3 greatest shooters in NBA history, Klay, Steph, and Kevin Durant. It's not going to work any other time, and I'll stick by that. And if they win, I'll admit I was wrong. I don't do that Skip Bayless thing when I'm wrong. I give you a reason why I was wrong. Like, no, just say you were wrong. We know you were wrong. Don't give me excuses why you were wrong. But I like Daryl Morey. It's nothing personal. I don't think you're going to win with putting a little bunch of leprechauns out there, because you're going to get worn down over a 7-game series. And when you start playing the elite teams, they're going to be just as good offensively, but much better defensively and on the rebounds.
Charles Barkley with us on ESPN. So Westbrook more than any other player, huh? Just because of how hard he always plays. Like you're talking about,
Dan. Because Dan, listen. Guys who haven't won the championship, we criticize them like their life sucks. I'm pretty sure Karl Malone and John Stockton and Pat Ewing, I'm pretty sure our life has been myself included, I think our life has been pretty damn good. Because you got some of these guys who win championships who can't play dead. I don't hate on them. I just they were just in the right place at the right time. But the point I'm making about Russell is, I don't know if they're going to – first of all, I don't care who wins the championship. It don't change my life. But I'm never going to hate on that man for saying he didn't. Even same thing with James. James is like I said, he's the best offensive player I've ever seen. But if they don't win the championship, I'm not going to walk around saying, yeah, he was a great player, but he didn't win the championship. So I never get caught up in that morning talk show where, like, did he win the chip? I'm like, dude, there's guys who won the chips who can't play dead. I always laugh because, dude, it's a team game. It ain't an individual game. Like everybody, like Giannis, who's the runaway MVP, and the other networks are trying to change the narrative. Like, well, LeBron should be the MVP. First of all, no, he should not. Giannis should be the MVP by far, and Ja Morant should be the Rookie of the Year by far for a couple reasons. I'll give you my analogies because Zion Williamson looks terrific, but he's only going to play in 30 games. And if Ja Morant, he's going to play the whole season. If they can make the playoffs, that would be, like, incredible because nobody expected Memphis to make the playoffs. But if that little kid can get them to the playoffs, he should win Rookie of the Year by running away. Now, let me get to Giannis. It's so funny. LeBron, who's great and amazing, is playing with Anthony Davis. And you got these fools on TV, and I understand the whole Kobe thing, and everybody wants to, LeBron's amazing. But think about this. If LeBron James played in the Eastern Conference with one other guy like Chris Middleton, who's a good player, and he was 59-6 or 8, nobody would be saying he only plays in the Eastern Conference. Because I'm trying to think, Dan, when LeBron had all the good players, were they ever 59-6 when he was winning MVPs in Miami?
They won 66 one year, but I don't think they were 59-6.
No, but I'm saying, though, like, these guys want to change the story. Like, wait a minute. LeBron, who's amazing, he played with Bosh and D. Wade. He won MVP because they had the best record. But I don't remember people saying, we should give the MVP to LeBron because the Western Conference is better. I'm like, no, they never said that. But you got these fools, idiots, and jackasses on TV. Listen, LeBron's amazing. But what Giannis is doing is incredible. And we can give LeBron love because he's an amazing dude, amazing man, and a great, great, great player. But this thing where they're trying to say, well, the MVP race is close. Let me tell you something, Dan. If LeBron was back in Cleveland playing with a bunch of nobodies, he was 59-6. No matter how good a year everybody else was having, nobody would be saying, oh, no, man, maybe somebody else should win MVP because he plays in the Eastern Conference. That's total BS. And it makes me mad because, I'm not like these other people. When somebody tells me something on TV, I'm like, well, it must be true. This dude said it. No, dude, I'm actually watching the game. What Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks are doing is incredible. And if that man gets screwed out to MVP because everybody wants to swing on LeBron, it's going to really piss me off.
Swing on LeBron is an excellent way to phrase that. Stugotz has been wondering why nobody believes in the Bucks.
Well, I believe in them, but listen, when you play on a 7-game series, that's going to be a tremendous amount of pressure on Bledsoe and Middleton. Giannis going to do his thing because defenses are going to be structured to stop that one guy like you saw in the playoffs last year. He's got to get some help, and it's going to be on Middleton and Bledsoe. I said the same thing last year, Dan. Nobody's going to let Giannis dominate 4 games in a row in a 7-game series. They're going to make the other guys beat them. And if Bledsoe and Middleton can do their thing, I think the Bucks got a really good shot at winning the championship.
You got another segment in you? Can we go another segment, or you got to get out of here?
Dad, I got all day, brother.
All right. Maybe we'll just keep
Just
you
trying
around.
to get to 60,
Maybe we'll just keep you around all day then.
Money, 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 money.
Grainger has the supplies, the support facility managers need to make it through the day. Tell them, Stugotz.
Yep, running your business is a 24/7, 365-day-a-year job. Every problem, every solution is up to you. When a problem arises and you need a solution, Grainger's got your back. Whether you need critical items fast, something isn't working like it should, or you just can't find exactly what it is you're looking for, Grainger's ready to help. Because you don't stop, neither do they. Grainger has 24/7 customer support, sourcing specialists, and same-day pickup and delivery options. Don't forget about their on-demand products and technical expertise. Whatever you need, whenever you need it, Granger's got your back. Call, click Granger.com, or stop by a branch. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
This is the Dan Levitar Show on ESPN Radio.
I am signing that guy sight unseen. How about that?
Rizzuto.
I was going to say the scooter. It was the scooter, though. There's two scooters, Scootero and Rizzuto. How about that?
What just happened to you?
Well, you know what? The scooter is Scootero. I puffered for a second to make sure it was, and somehow I don't know. So things were going through my head like those weird commercials you used to do for the dollar
Wait a
store or
minute.
something.
You just backtracked on, you weren't sure it was the scooter? Is that what happened? There was a glitch in the system.
And then there's Scooter Gannett. I mean, these scooters can get confusing sometimes. Dan.
Why and how did the record skip? What happened? Why did the record scratch on?
He's got a dial-up connection. He's working with what he can.
Charles Barkley, nice enough to stick around for a second segment here. He'll continue with us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
So when you see Zion's body type, Charles, did people question your body type, your ability to stay not injured? You're about the closest thing to what Zion's been, I think, almost in the history of the sport physically.
Well, I think he's a lot more explosive than I am. I mean, he's unbelievable. Seems like a great kid, too, Dan. But his ability to get up that second time is one of the best I've ever seen. And it's been fun to watch. It was interesting last night because I watched that game last night to see how he performed in back-to-back games. And he wasn't the same guy in back-to-back games. But I got to say this one thing. I said last year, that boy Luka Doncic is a baby Larry Bird. I said, somebody asked me, what about him? I says, I'm not saying he's going to be as great as Larry Bird, but he's a baby Larry Bird, and he's unbelievable. But to answer your question, I think Zion is, number one, I think he might be, I would love to stand there beside him, see if he like a legit 6'8". I mean, because I lied my whole career that I was 6'6", and I'm only 6'4.5".
Well, this is the thing, though, Charles. I'm amazed by you saying that his second step is a lot more, his second jump is a lot more explosive than yours. How many years did you lead the league in rebounding? Because your second jump was faster than anyone else in the league.
Well, there's a thing for that, though, Dan, because I learned it from the great Moses Malone. You obviously know when the shot's not going in. Do you have a mental edge? Do you have a mental edge? Because you can tell when that shot not going to go in. And listen, he's so good, man. I'm really hoping that he can stay injury-free. He seems like an awesome kid, too. Seems like an awesome kid. But let me get back to my original point. Listen, I love Zion, but I just hope with that kid, John Morant, first of all, I need to talk to his parents. I know they didn't just name their kid J.A., but that's not a damn name. That's not a name.
It's a cool name, Charles.
You don't name your kid J.A., then just stop naming letters. That's just crazy. But listen, if he's able to get Memphis to the playoffs, that would be, first of all, that should lock up Rookie of the Year. But if he can they're going to be in it to the last game of the year. But I hope they don't screw that kid out of Rookie of the Year because, listen, we love Zion, but nobody thought that the Memphis Grizzlies, and his best two players are out right now, the Brandon Clark and the Jackson kid been out. And if they've won 2 in a row. If he can get those guys to the playoffs, the Rookie of the Year should not be even. It shouldn't even be close because Zion's only going to play 30-some games, and that just wouldn't be fair. I know it's exciting and he's great for the league, but it wouldn't be fair for a kid who's been here all year and got his team in the playoffs so far, which is amazing.
Hey, Chuck, it's Billy. His full name's Demetrius Jamel Moran.
You know what? If that was my name, I'd go by John, too.
Exactly. Charles,
Demetrius?
Demetrius, yes. Jamel Morant, yes.
Hey, Demetrius is not a name.
That's why he goes John, Charles.
Hey, Dan, that's like some type of flower. What kind of flower is this? This is Demetrius.
Does put it on the poll, Guillermo. Does Demetrius sound like the Rookie of the Year or a flower?
Charles, choose one for the next decade. You can only have one. Demetrius, Morant, Luka, or Zion for the next 10 years. Who do you want?
I'm going to take Luka because of his body. You got to worry about Zion's health. You got to worry about it. And Ja is so diminutive. I wonder how his body's going to react when he gets – because he got to get bigger and stronger. Especially if he keeps trying to dunk on people, because what's going to happen to him if he try to dunk on the wrong guy, they're going to knock the hell out of him. Just like Trevor Ariza did the other day to little Trey Young. Like, no. I'm old school. You're not going to dunk on me. So I want to know how – because he needs to probably gain 15 pounds to 20 pounds, and I wonder how is that going to affect his quickness and things like that.
You can't nutmeg the guy who has been in the league 16 years and is still wearing his hair in braids. Like, that is not a thing that you do. That is not.
Well, listen, especially a tough guy like Trevor Ariza. Like, I always laugh when people walk up to me like, I'm a fat old guy. I said, I would have dunked on you in your day. I said, no, you would have got 2 damn free throws in your day, but you ain't going to dunk on me. I mean, I said, I'll let a great player dunk on me, but I'm not going to let no stiff dunk on me.
All right, we're going to come back with Charles Barkley in a second because he's got some thoughts I want to get to, because I know he's got some opinions on what's going on with Tom Brady, excuse me. And I also know that Stugotz is going to say something. I wanted to save this to the end because right. Stugotz, I think, is going to say something that is going to enrage Charles Barkley, and that he's going to find it disrespectful and blasphemous. You could stay with us for another segment, Charles?
Yes, sir.
All right. So he's got nothing but all day. I think I'm going to take his whole day if we can take it. Charles Barkley continues with us.
I'm starting to get nervous.
Yeah, it is a blasphemous take, and Stugotz will say it to Barkley's face, sort of, next.
This is the Dan Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Thanksgiving dinner at an ESPN household, where would you want to have it? I heard that conversation taking place in my periphery during the break, and what I heard was an agreement was none of us would want to eat with Tony Kornheiser.
Oh, no. Thanksgiving at the Kornheiser house? Get out of here.
He'd be kicking you out at 5 o'clock.
Allison described it as her dream Thanksgiving is at Kornheiser's house.
Yeah, I'm with Allison.
He's watching here, and we'll get to that in a second. He's going to give it to Charles Barkley. But before we do that, Charles, what do you think Tom Brady should do? I know you're interested in more than just basketball.
I think he should retire. He's the greatest. I said this the other night. Tiger Woods and Tom Brady, to me, are the 2 greatest athletes of ever. That's my personal opinion, because I think what they accomplished is so much better than the next guy. I do. I think Tom Brady and Tiger are the 2 greatest athletes ever. Like, Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player ever. But the distance between him and Wilt, Kareem, Bill Russell, Kobe, and LeBron is not as big as the gap between Tom Brady and the next football player and Tiger and the next golfer. And I would hate to see him go and he can't tarnish it, but you want to finish like, okay, I'm the GOAT. I'm good with that.
Are you speaking as someone who held on too long?
Yeah, I played 2 years too long, but I'm not. First of all, I'm not comparing. I'm not on Tom Brady's level. But you know, Dan, it's so funny. I kept telling my friends, first of all, you know you suck as a player, and I'm not saying Tom Brady sucks, but you say to yourself, I want to go out on a high note. I'm gonna play one more year and have a good year, and then I'm gonna retire. But you go back and look at history. There's nobody other than Jim Brown probably who retired who had anything left in the tank. You retire for a reason. And I would hate to see the greatest football player, greatest jock, in my opinion, other than Tiger, just go out there and not be the greatest ever.
I've got to tell you, Charles, I hope that we don't make you too mad here, but Stugotz is looking at a video. I'm not even talking about the show yet, the TNT show that Stugotz has an opinion on that I don't think is accepted by many. But you said in the last segment that you don't let any scrubs dunk on you. You're getting 2 free throws, and Stugotz spent the break scouring the internet to find this.
So, Charles, I saw, there are plenty of dunks where Jordan dunks on you, but that's fine. That's acceptable. There is the Rain Man, Sean Kemp, dunking on you. Grant Hill, he dunks on you as well. All acceptable. But then there's one of Bill Cartwright at Madison Square Garden. Dunking on you, Charles. He dunked on you so hard and so badly, you had to be carried off the floor by 2 players.
I was concussed.
By the dunk.
You know what? I remember that vividly because when I woke up, I asked them what happened, and my teammates were laughing at me. I said, "What are y'all laughing at?" They says, when you get a chance to see this replay, it's not going to be pretty. but I did. Bill Cartwright gave me a concussion when he dunked on me. You're 100% correct.
You collapsed, Charles.
It's those elbows. That's all Cartwright had was those sharp elbows. Did he hit you with one of them?
He hit me with an elbow, and when I hit the ground, my head hit the ground. When I came to, I was like, there's a lot of damn people around here for some reason. I had no idea where I was. I remember that was at Madison Square Garden. I remember that vividly.
So he's got another opinion here, and go ahead, Stugotz. I don't want anywhere near this opinion because I've said it many times over the years. Charles Barkley is at the center of the best studio show in the history of sports.
It is the best studio show ever. It is. Or at least it was. Charles, here's where I'm going, and I am nervous. I got to be honest because I have such great respect for you and the job that you guys do. But
don't soften it up. Don't soften it up.
But
let him have it.
The Tuesday NBA pregame show with Lefko, with Dwayne Wade, with I believe is it Candace Parker, and with Shaquille O'Neal. Charles, I'm telling you. Lefko is good. Wade is surprisingly good. Candace Parker is great. But what they're getting on Tuesday is a better Shaquille O'Neal than you guys are getting on Thursday. And because of that, I feel like that pregame show has surpassed the Thursday pregame show.
What? Oh, that is so messed
up.
Charles?
So off base, too.
They're doing a great job. I like it. Yeah.
First of all, I watched the Tuesday show.
Yeah.
But we're on the same team, man.
I understand that. But I know, Charles, here's what I'm telling you. Next time you watch it, I want you to take notes because that's how you make Shaquille O'Neal good at TV. They figured out how to do it.
That's
all I'm saying, Charles. That's it. I love you.
What?
I love you, Charles.
Wait, listen. First of all, number one, I want to thank you for coming and giving a compliment to one of our sister shows.
Right.
Listen, we're on the same network. If they're good, it's only going to help the brand.
But better than you guys, Charles? Like how many Emmys?
Listen, that's such an unfair question for me to say we're better. I mean, listen, we're getting ready to go in the Hall of Fame again. We already in the Broadcasting Hall of Fame.
Yes, you are.
Now the Basketball Hall of Fame is going to put us on as the best basketball show ever. So, and listen, we've been on a long time. They're just new. They've only been on like a month. I mean, I've been on the show for 19 years, Dan.
Yeah.
Stu.
Yeah.
So you're probably sick of us. But listen, the good thing about it, you only got 3 more years of me.
There's a category in the Basketball Hall of Fame that's just best basketball show ever.
What are you getting into the Hall of Fame for now? Best basketball show ever?
Well, yes. So we just got announced. They just announced it over the All-Star game. We're going in as the best basketball show ever, which is a really nice compliment.
It's amazing.
We're already in the Broadcasting Hall of Fame. We went in there about 6 or 7 years ago. But the NBA came up with an award, and we're going in as a studio show. So it's really cool for the Hall of Fame to acknowledge us. But listen, man, as long as they're doing good, it only helps our brand.
Now, have the people who voted on this, have they seen the Tuesday pregame show yet?
The Tuesday pregame show has only been on like a month.
Right, but has anyone seen it? Because I have a feeling they would change their vote and make that the greatest pregame show ever, maybe.
Hey, listen, man, I don't know what people are watching on Tuesday night. First of all, it depends on the games you got, too.
Yeah.
Hey, we love Lefko. That's what we just signed Lefko to a long-term deal because he's fantastic.
I am just curious, though, in terms of all of the awards that you have won over the course of your life, which is the one that you hold in the highest regard?
Well, Dan, that's actually one of the great questions I've been asked. You know, Dan, I really don't worry about awards. I'm not going to lie. I'm actually getting ready to sell all my memorabilia because it just clutters my house. You know, I'm going to build 20 affordable houses in my little hometown of Leeds, Alabama. So I'm selling all my memorabilia, my 2 gold medals, my MVP trophy, and a bunch of other crap that just clutters my house. But I used to keep it at my grandmother's house, but they all passed away, and I don't want that stuff crapping up my house. So I'm working with some people to build 20 affordable houses in my hometown that really needs it. But I'm going to pay for it by selling all my memorabilia. So I don't really keep up with a bunch of stuff, Dan. I mean, I don't think I have to walk around with my gold medal or my MVP trophy for people to know I'm Charles Barkley. So I'm going to sell all that crap.
What have they told you all that's worth, Charles, and where and when are you selling it all?
Well, I signed a deal with Panini, who I've been doing a basketball deal with the last couple of years, and we're trying to get some numbers. Because like I say, Dan, I'm trying to make – I always tell people, anybody working past 60 needed a better job. So I'm trying to make it 3 more years, and I'm going to go play golf and fish every day like I do during the summer. But I want to get rid of all this stuff. My daughter, I told her if she didn't want me to sell it, I wouldn't sell it. And she says, Dad, I'll take one piece. And I said, what do you want? And I think she wants one of the gold medals, but the rest of that crap is gone, brother.
Charles, it's always great catching up with you, buddy. It makes us happy.
Hey,
Yes.
Dan, let me tell you this. Make sure you tell your sweet mother she's a saint. She's a saint. And you tell your dad to kiss my ass. And Dan, how's marriage going?
It's been very nice, buddy. It's been very nice. Stugotz is going to get you mad again with another question here.
Charles, where were you? Like, why we thought you would be at the wedding. What happened to you, Charles?
Oh, Dan, why don't you tell Stu what happened?
I'm not totally sure what happened, actually.
Oh, hey, Stu.
Yeah.
Dan calls me like the week of his wedding, and he says, yo, man, I just found out they forgot to send you an invitation. And I'm like, Dan. And I said, Dan, how could you forget me? You called me 3 times saying, give me an address to send you the invitation.
I did do that. Yeah.
And they didn't send me an invitation. And I was pissed.
Yeah, you had every reason to be pissed. I can tell you Lefko was killing it at that wedding, man, cutting up the dance floor.
Charles, good catching up with you. We'll see you soon, buddy.
Hey, Dan, you know what they say about marriage? It's like a walk in the park. Jurassic Park.
See you later.
Let's go. My private jet isn't going to fuel itself.
Missed that, man.
He's great.
Lefko's funny.
ZipRecruiter, people, business owners, are you looking for a new employee to fill an important position? Let ZipRecruiter find the right candidate for you. Tell them, God.
Yep, you may have heard of Dylan Miskowitz. He's a real business owner who struggled with finding the right fit for his director of coffee role until he turned to ZipRecruiter. Well, since then, Dylan's business, Cafe Altura, grew up so much that he had to hire a junior roaster and a second director of coffee. How? Once again, through ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter's matching technology finds the right people for your job and invites them to apply. 4 to 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. To try ZipRecruiter for free? Simple. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Stay tuned. More Dan and Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
That was excellent work. Is there anything?
Farewell from the future, Dan Le Batard, where Arch Manning is the greatest quarterback that has ever lived. If you missed any of the show, you can listen to all 3 hours of the Dan Le Batard Show, plus our Miami-only hour and our Best of Podcast on demand in the ESPN app. And subscribe to the Le Batard and Friends Podcast Network featuring South Beach Sessions, Stupidity, and Mystery Crate. Please rate and subscribe. New episodes are posted every week wherever you get your podcasts.
Stupidity has some Bob Saget on it, and that guy has had a fascinating career, not only working around some of the legends who have come up through the comedy club circuit, like all of the legends who have come up through the comedy club circuit, but also interesting because he had 2 shows that were very popular that didn't seem to be much what his real personality is. His fame was accrued in 2 realms, with a video show where he was sort of wink cheesy on purpose, meant for a purer America,
Yep.
and that was a hugely popular show. Was he the first one to do that?
America's Funniest Home Videos?
Yeah,
I believe he was.
Just the
first,
idea
yeah.
of viral videos before they were available on the internet.
AFV.
And so beyond that, though, he's also, that's one of your favorite shows that he was on, right? Like, you love Full House.
Oh, I love Full House, yeah. And he's, he is like one of the all-time great, maybe the greatest television dads of all time. And so we had a great time. I'm telling you, Dan, I have an appointment with Bob Saget and John Mayer on a future Stupidity to play a Stoolywood game. Who knows their best friend better? This is very exciting. He agreed to it, and Mayer has agreed. Very exciting.
Who's your best friend?
My best friend?
Yeah, you're competing against.
Le Batard.
Oh.
Yeah, yep. So me and Dan versus Bob and Mayer. How about that?
Billy, not a lot of people get to say the sentence going into the Hall of Fame again and have it be the 3rd time they're going into the Hall of Fame, because Charles Barkley evidently is going in for a 3rd time. But what did your research reveal about Charles Barkley? He's not going into the Hall of Fame for just greatest basketball show ever?
Yeah, so Charles said that he was being awarded greatest basketball show ever, and we looked into it because that didn't seem like the name of an award that actually existed in reality. And we found out that what he's winning is one of 4 Kurt Gowdy Media Awards for the Basketball Hall of Fame, along with the electronic recipient, which is Mike Breen. I don't know what that means. The print recipient, Stugotz's friend Michael Wilbon. The insight recipient, which is Jim Gray. And then the transformative recipient, which is Inside the NBA. But it doesn't say Thursday, so Lefko may be a Hall of Famer already.
So this would be his 3rd time entering the Hall of Fame?
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
That's a mark that's only going to be matched by Ric Flair.
I love that he thinks he's entering as the greatest basketball show ever.
I mean, he should. He should. I mean, it's the truth. That's why he's entering as a broadcaster, if you're going to give it to him. Is Randall Parmley in our Hall of Fame? Does he deserve to be in our Hall of Fame? We've got a local broadcaster in Indiana. Is it Evansville, Mike?
Evansville, Indiana, and he's not in our Hall of Fame, Dan, but that transition was a Hall of Fame transition.
He wouldn't be in our Hall of Fame, this guy?
No.
Greatest local sportscaster ever?
No, the reason he'd be in our Hall of Fame is because first ballot, he's better than Sedano, he's better than Izzy Gutierrez, he's better than Ariel Helwani, all of these guys who are at the height of the profession, all of whom have been kind enough to drop into their broadcasts some show-specific sayings, but nobody's doing it out here the way this dude is doing it.
He's a bit of a Randall come lately. We'll see if he has a longevity. Right now, he's popular because he's done it a lot. Well, just time will tell.
Yeah, he's done it a lot on WEHT, which is where this sound comes from.
Second quarter now, Castle down 9. Here's Zeke Niehaus. Splash. His three is good. How about some defense now? Lander on the right. Kieran Powell says, get out of here. $2. Big block right there. And the lead would grow to 13. And Archie Miller has to be thinking, I didn't ask for any of this. Getting as many wins as possible late in the season is super necessary if you don't want to be left out.
Can you explain to me what the average viewer in Evansville is thinking when they're watching sports highlights and he says, get out of here, $2?
I think we're giving a little too much attention to someone that does this on television because much like the Basketball Hall of Fame has a spot dedicated to Michael Wilbon for his work in print, Steak Sauce, a caller into the local hour, is doing this in print for the Albuquerque Journal. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, like that kid can scoot, all sorts of references. I'm going to tweet out a link so you can see his articles.
But why
Steak Sauce is also, correct me if I'm wrong, the gentleman that tattooed the Guillermo Mafia logo on your...
Right, but do we ask Steak Sauce to do it? Like, we didn't ask Randall to do it, right? He's just doing it on his own? Like, no one asked him to do this.
We didn't ask for any of this.
Right, exactly.
We are, speaking of not asking for something, how about some CBA talk?
Oh, boy.
Collective bargaining agreement with Eric Winston next.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
So you just said that Billy and Mike said it.
Yeah.
How'd he play?
Yeah. Excellent.
Well, they said it on air. It's not like they said it in the privacy of the
local hour. Different rule. Just cool. This is the Boston story. We're not going to speculate.
Was that a secret? I'm sorry.
Nah, no
Were you
one
guys
listens to the local
whispering a secret to me during the local hour?
We're just working things out during the local hour. I mean, just to see what sticks, you know? And this one stuck, apparently. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Our thanks to Charles Barkley for spending 3 segments with us. He was great. Eric Winston going to join us in just a second here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, head of the NFLPA. Here's your SportsCenter update. The Carolina Panthers have traded guard Trey Turner to the Chargers for tackle Russell Okung. The trade will be made official when the league's New Year starts March 18th. Reds pitcher Trevor Bauer, who called MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred a joke following his handling of the Astros punishment, said that the two had a very productive meeting. And finally, Earth has lost 50% of its wildlife in the past 40 years. SportsCenter brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. Think ahead, think advance. At any time, 1 in 4 batteries is about to fail. Get a free battery test and free installation with any automotive battery purchase only at Advance Auto Parts. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Eric Winston is the president of the NFLPA. He's a bit of a friend of the show. We enjoyed talking to him. I don't know if it was the last time or the time before that we talked to him about the amount of beer that he could crush as an offensive lineman at the University of Miami.
It was a lot.
And I don't remember what the number was, but wasn't it like 20-something beers? Not that this is the way to introduce you.
That's like your go-to.
Yeah. With you it is, Winston.
Well, yeah, but it's a long time ago, and I know that's not what you're doing now, but many years ago in college, Eric Winston could throw down beers because he's a former offensive lineman. And I got a lot of questions for you. Thank you for joining us. The first thing, can you explain to me how it is that as the president of the NFLPA, you can justify an extra NFL game even with the health hazards?
Well, listen, we've tried to do a lot around the work rules, reducing padded practices in camp, reducing time on the field, reducing time at the facility, going through trying to reduce, and as you've seen, reduce certain drills that are happening at camps. Reduce certain drills that are happening at during, whether it's during the season or during camps or in the off season, things of that nature. As any guy that's played knows that, you can only do so much around football, and it's a collision sport, as everybody knows, and we're trying to make it as safe as it possibly can, but there's always risk when you step out there. And I'm not going to, and I think I've been pretty frank about that for as long as I've been president and probably before that. So I definitely don't sugarcoat that. And I know nobody else that I work with does either.
Can you win a work stoppage?
Well, I tell you what, Dan, if the players decide that this deal isn't for them, that's exactly what we're going to have to do. And that's something that that preparation is ongoing, to be honest with you, because that still needs to be planned out. We've obviously set ourselves up in certain ways to make sure that we can protect ourselves. Union leadership has obviously saved funds, done different things. Obviously, we have a for-profit arm that produces revenue for that very reason, to be able to go out and fight against management. And I think you bring up a great point, Dan, is that, if this goes down, obviously we're going to go to expiration. And gosh, you hope at expiration that there's a better deal out there. But if it goes past expiration, then obviously there's a chance of imposition or a work stoppage. And that's exactly what we've been planning for several years. And we're going to have to execute on those plans.
Eric Winston with us, president of the NFLPA. So when J.J. Watt, because you have worked on this thing for a long time, you have spent a lot of time working on this thing. So once it's released and J.J. Watt tweets out hard no to the proposed CBA, Eric Winston's reaction is what?
Yeah, hey, listen, the one thing that when I came on board, and I think Dan and I have had conversations about this, whether it's on or off line, is that I wanted to empower guys to speak up, to speak out, to go out and do whatever. And I was happy to go around, even in unpleasant situations, to go around and provide guys air cover. And as long as guys are educating themselves, know exactly what the options are, know exactly what's behind door number 1 and door number 2, and know exactly what this is for them, I'm okay with you saying no or saying yes. I don't look at my role as to go around and twisting everybody's arm saying, here, please take this deal, or please don't take this deal. My job was to go through and as you say, over 300 days of really straight through negotiations to get to this point. So I think there's a misconception out there that somehow this was a 400-page document was put together overnight. But at the same time, make sure that guys understand the choices that they have and understand what the consequences are of those choices. And after that, I'm okay if a guy votes no or a guy votes yes, because this is their life. They're going to have to deal with a lot of this stuff, and we're going to have to keep moving forward, whether the body decides that this is for them or it's not for them.
Eric Winston with us. He's the president of the NFLPA. Let's play that sound from Marquise Pouncey and ask Eric Winston if he's okay with disagreeing this publicly this way.
Man, it's so crazy, man. I vote no. That NFLPA, the dudes at the top, the leaders, man, that all they ain't looking out for the best of the players. And if y'all want my vote, the Pouncey twins vote no. And if any player, any one of our teams, if y'all heard for rent money or anything while we go through this lockout, call us. Man, we got way more money than what they had back in the days. We ain't got to worry about that. All the vets on each team stand up. Show these guys that we care about them. Man, I care about all you young players, and I love you guys to death. I ain't going to let y'all down. Trust and believe. They trying to sign a deal just so these sitting the president can go around and smile and say, I got something done. You ain't get done.
Wow, President, that's direct. I didn't even realize that was you, that he was. I really didn't. When we played that, I didn't even remember that he was going after the president.
Damn, I didn't either. No, I didn't. I actually have not listened to that forward to back. So that was my first time as well. Hey, obviously, I want guys to express their opinions in constructive ways. If that for him is constructive, then I get it. Listen, guys, this is emotional, man. What we do is an emotional game. It's emotional. This battle that we've had for a long time between management and labor isn't going anywhere. It's a philosophical difference, and I get it, man. There's some guys that want to go into a strike or want to go into a lockout, and they want to hold out, and they want to go against management, and they want to beat them. I get it, and listen, that's an opinion that he's obviously expressing, and in the way he's expressing it. But again, this is we've set this up where, and it's not we. I mean, this has been set up for a long time as a democracy. The reps voted to move this to the body of players, and the body of players will decide. And if they agree with I think that's Marquise.
with Marquise, then that's exactly what we're going to have to do. And that point was made earlier, is we're going to have to go in there and not, it's one thing to strike. It's one thing to lock out, to get locked out. It's another thing to win those, right? And that's really what the goal would be, is to win that strike, to win that lockout. And we have to understand what we're fighting for, and we have to understand what it's going to take to actually win them.
What are the parts of the deal as it's proposed that you're proudest of?
Well, listen, getting, what I think is going to end up becoming 1.5 points on AR, which is, if you just use the 2011 to now, is over $3.2 billion of all revenue shifting from the owners to players, is something that I'm really proud of. Obviously, shifting minimum salaries and getting guys in 2020 alone a $100,000 bump as a rookie on a minimum salary is something that I'm proud of. Obviously, doing a different system in the first rounders for the guys, with the fifth-year option, and making sure that's fully guaranteed. And if you ball out, that you're going to get the transition tag or the franchise tag fully guaranteed for your fourth and fifth year. And then again, I also go to benefits. Benefits is something that affects us all equally. And the raises and benefits across the board, pension, 401k, annuity, HRA, tuition, you go down the line, and and it's not me. No, this is all player leadership. This was player driven. The guys understand the value of benefits now and down the road. And we went in there and we made sure that those benefits were jacked up significantly. I'm proud of that. And again, I know it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse. If guys feel like, hey, there's more there, and that they're willing to go do it, man, that's what we should do. But this is what's on the table. I think there's a lot of stuff here. In any negotiation, you're not going to get everything you want. That's certainly the case here, but I think it's significant, and I think it's going to be a choice that guys are really going to have to sit down and decide what's best for them.
Eric Winston with us, president of the NFLPA. Does a split executive committee and membership reflect on you in any way?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and I'll be completely honest. Maybe I should have done a better job. Maybe I could have done a better job, and I think that's something that I'm going to have to look at after this is over and say, what part of this did I have in that? I also think, too, to be quite frank with you, that's sort of the world we're going to start living in now, too, right? I mean, listen, when you start empowering a bunch of guys, you start looking at this. You are where you stand, right? Every guy's going to look at this deal from a different perspective because they've had a different experience in the NFL. And so, if there's something in here that you don't like, then you might not think that is best for you. And if you look at that and say, man, this is going to help me this, and this, well, then you might vote for that. But to your point, I take responsibility. I'm the president, and we'll see where we end. And I'm happy to come back on in a week, and once we see what the results are, and if it goes down, it goes down, and that's fine. But I think my job was to try to negotiate the very best deal that we could, leveraging every single piece of leverage point that we have to present to players. And if the players don't want that, then I totally get it. And I, again, there will be nobody that's a bigger cheerleader than me for those guys, because I've definitely poured everything I got into this, and I'll definitely be cheering them on to get more.
Well, what's your sense? Are you expecting it to pass?
Listen, I've obviously, you've heard a lot of guys come out on Twitter, but I've also heard a lot of guys that are very thankful and very happy with it as well. So, these are all small samples, and so listen, I told you guys, and I'm not calling people to go vote. I'm really not. I am pushing them to vote. Excuse me, I am pushing them to vote, but I'm not going out there twisting people's arms to vote yes or vote no for this deal. But I am pushing every single guy. If there's a guy listening to this, educate yourself. There's term sheets on there, the full documents in your voting pamphlet, everything that you need to make your decisions right there. Call your directors, call your rep if you need help understanding something. But every guy should look at this and say, I need to spend a few hours at the very least understanding how this is going to affect me, and put a vote down, because I think that's what this is all about, is making your voice heard. One man, one vote, and it'll be what it'll be.
Eric, always good catching up with you. We'll take you up on that. We'll call you when this is over.
Sounds good, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Money, 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 money.
Tell the people, Stugotz, why the Black Tux has been a savior for us.
Yep, the Black Tux believes every groom deserves a better experience when it comes to finding formal wear, a suit or tuxedo for their big day. Did you know the Black Tux was actually started by two guys who had one of the worst tuxedo fittings you could imagine? It turns out they aren't alone in this frustration. Just listen to these one-star reviews from competitor tux shops that shall not be named. Go elsewhere. This place is pretty terrible, unless you're dressing like your grandpa for Halloween. We felt weird buying a suit from somebody so unhappy, we were afraid his bad vibes might follow us to our wedding day, so we left. Whether you're buying your outfits or looking to rent, you won't find a formal wear experience or designs like the ones you'll find at the Black Tux. If you want your wedding to be remembered for the right reasons, order your suit or tuxedo at theblacktux.com and enjoy 10% off with code Dan. That's theblacktux.com, code Dan for 10% off your purchase. The Black Tux, formal wear for the moment.
Hey, this is the Dan Lebatard Show on ESPN Radio.
Shaquille O'Neal was moving his feet, crushing the ball on defenders. But he got in early foul trouble and had to take a seat. Pat Riley went to his bench and now they're passing the ball to Michael Doliak. You ought to know by now. He can make his free throws and make the extra pass, and that's why we pay all the money. And the Hawks have no one to blame. He only plays 1 minute a game. Just go and hang your head in shame. Move on out.
History. It's ESPN Daily with Mina Kimes, presented by ADT. Download, subscribe, and review ESPN Daily, available wherever you enjoy your podcasts.
Chris Cody he's going all in on what he believes to be a peak backhanded compliment that he gets all the time. He believes that this is as good as a backhanded compliment as you will hear ever. So let's find out about that in a second. But first, that right there is the reason that I want the songs played so that Billy Joel can sing about Michael Doliak.
Michael Doliak.
That's great.
That is the very reason. That is why I have asked you for every single day. I want you to play an old song from our show.
Michael Doliak.
What makes you happier than that, Mike Ryan? Thinking about the Miami Heat days of Michael Doliak.
Everybody.
That doesn't make you as happy as Michael Doliak.
When you're trying to fit Michael Doliak into a song like that, that was the perfect song choice.
Michael Doliak.
Anyone got anything better? 786-456-4837. Can you top this? 786-456-4837 in song when singing the name Michael Doliak. Yes or no? Who can top that? 786-456-4837 is the telephone number.
Someone drop a beer bottle or something?
Yeah, I've been drinking all morning. Chris, what is the backhanded compliment that you receive more than any other?
Well, before I reveal it, do you guys have any guesses? Like, if you just think in general, in the realm of backhanded compliments, what is maybe a nominee, maybe a guess that you guys think I might be going at?
You're not so fat.
No.
That's the one I get all the time.
Yeah.
I think yours is you have nice eyes.
Okay. That also could be a backhanded, because like that implies that's all I have that's nice, I think is what it's getting
yeah,
out
but
there.
the backhanded part is like, you're not so fat.
No, you're not so fat. That's one I get all the time, too, because
Yeah.
people meet me. My nickname's Fat Chris, and I often get you're not that fat because we a lot of radio listeners
Yeah.
are a little large. So I meet a lot of listeners, and they're like, wow, you're a lot skinnier than I am.
Right.
And so that's not it, though. Any other guesses?
I constantly get, you're not as dumb as I thought you were going to be.
That's a
good one.
compliment.
It is?
I think that you should
I feel
take
like it's
that.
backhanded.
I don't think that that's
They're still saying I'm
backhanded.
dumb, just not that
backhanded.
dumb.
Yeah,
that's
that's
all they're
backhanded.
saying. Right. Not
Dan
that
doesn't
dumb.
get the show.
Yeah.
The one that I'm gonna say that I get often, that Dan, I feel like you're with me on this one. Also, anytime I post a picture of my wife, it says, "Man, you really married up." And it's a compliment because they're saying that my wife is, nice looking, and then I instantly feel awful about myself.
Right.
I feel like a lot of us in here have, married
It's
up.
something that guys
You
say,
outkick
though.
your coverage is what they know.
I get it. I can't post a picture of my wife without getting 4 or 5 of those comments. Like, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one before.
No, it's just something. It's jocular, but in your case, it's legit.
Right. I know. But that's it. It's just I don't feel like in the realm of all of backhanded compliments, that's the top. I don't think we can come up with a hypothetical one that's the peak of backhanded compliments.
It's also not something that girls say to each other.
Right.
They're like, wow, he's way too good looking for you. That's not something that
No,
you
but
hear
that's
girls
why
say.
insults are the language of intimacy among men. Women do not talk to each other the way that we talk to each other. They absolutely do not. I can make that just a general thing that I can stereotype. They are not cruel with each other in that way, talking to each other, insulting each other. That is the exclusive domain of the male.
It hurts my feelings a little bit. There, I said it. All right?
All right, okay.
Don't do that, people.
Mike, I got songs here on the line, but I don't have any callers up because
Yeah.
Chris has been telling backhanded compliment stories.
Yeah, one of the things that we should have.
Yep. They'll have to hold till tomorrow.
All right,
I mean,
we'll
that's
do it
yeah.
tomorrow. We will do it tomorrow. Think all night about the way that you will top this when you sing the name Michael Doliak.
Michael Doliak.
Hope you enjoyed the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
World Star.